city councilor for the city of Kaiser, Roland Herrera. And Roland, you have been social distancing, and now you're here talking to us from your home office. So, what do you want to say to the Kaiser community during these new times of living here in our state, our city?
The new normal. I just, first of all, I want to thank you for doing this with all the councilors and the mayor and everybody. This has been a very vital part of communicating with our folks here in Kaiser. And basically, I just want, this is the new normal. And I just want to encourage folks to hang in there. We're all kind of in this together. But the most effective thing that we can do is to stay home. And that you can't say that enough. And that goes for anybody, anywhere, not only in our community, but anywhere, wherever you are. I was concerned about a lot of, at the beginning, I was concerned about a lot of our elderly. In fact, I posted on my social media for everybody to check on their elderly friends. And of course, immediately I got like 9 calls, But I thought that we're all in this together. We're gonna make the best of it. There's good days, there's bad days, but we're gonna pull through. And we're very fortunate to live in Kaiser. And I can't stress enough. You say talk about physical distance, but it's actually physical distance, but not socially connected, because we will be socially connected. And thanks to you and people like you, we're doing this. So I just wanted Kaiser folks to know that we're going to be okay. Our city's operating fine. We're doing everything. Everything's different, but try to hang in there. Do the best you can, but don't forget the basic things like staying home and minimizing your contacts.
Yeah, and being a city councilor, Roland, takes on you're active. You're like a full-time side job right now. Tell us about this call that you were on with our Senator Merkley, representative from the state governor's office, and other leaders around the state who are city councilors and mayors, talking about their role in helping our communities get through this. What was that call today, and what can you share with our Kaiser community about what you learned?
Well, there's as far as it affects cities, I made a few notes, and I want to thank League of Oregon Cities, Mike Cully. He did a wonderful job, and so did Senator Merkley. They broke it down into how cities can help and basic things we can do. One of the notes I wrote that I thought was kind of stunning, he talked about the Oregon Health Authority. He said there was 16,000 tested positive here in Oregon, 800 cases and 21 deaths so far. That kind of stuck out, kind of hit home, being that, we're asking that, we're trying to go up and talk to our governor to get some suspension of some of these rules affecting city education and several issues. I can't go into definitely exactly what they are, but it's new times and we have to adjust, and it's budget time, so there's a lot of goals that are going to be changed. That July 1st for cities, we're going to have to amend that. So we're working on some suspension of rules, and it's too complicated to explain, but we're trying to do the best we can during budget season. The other thing I got out of that was that, for those of us that mentor kids, there's the stay-at-home thing. There's folks that kids that actually live in 2 homes. They're encouraging them to pick one home and to minimize their movement. And I worry about some of these guys. As a mentor, I work with some folks, young kids that I worry about right now, frankly. And I think that, like the elderly, they need special attention. But hopefully that we'll get through this, and because of the great teachers that we have. By the way, shout out to the Kennedy teachers. They're doing an incredible. I'm sure all teachers are, but I'm feeling a little more with Kennedy, and I know that Ms. Lamb and all those folks are doing a great job, Ms. Alvarez. And so that part I'm worried about. As far as the LOC call, there's we learned about the unemployment. They talked the national level. About 10 million people unemployed. 6% of our population is unemployed right now. We talked about the monies coming into the state. Oregon is set to get $1.25 billion, so that's going to be part of the package that's going to help us. They talked about the PPP, which is a Paycheck Protection Program. And I don't know if you heard how that works, the grant, and I won't get too far in that, but it will affect our businesses getting $5,000 grants and helping out. But on a personal level, what I got out mostly out of this is for folks to hang in there, and our government, local governments are doing a very good job. I really believe that as far as communicating and sending the message out to the community.
But we also want to thank you, Roland, because you are on these calls as a liaison for the city of Kaiser. And we really appreciate you taking your time from your home. You're not traveling to these meetings, so people need to know you're doing this remotely. But it's so great to have your voice there representing us and letting them know what Kaiser's dealing with for them making plans on a statewide level.
Yeah, having that connection, we still got to do this. And I keep telling people, we're not stuck at home. We're safe at home. That's very important. That's kind of my message. But trust me, it's hit home pretty close. And as you've heard, Pastor Jerry Miranda, I don't know if you know him, but his wife, Teresa, just got out of the hospital. She was tested positive and spent, they had actually literally had her in an induced coma for a while. It was pretty bad, but boy, she came out of it, and thank God that she's going to be fine. And Pastor Miranda is one of our volunteers at Kaiser.
Yeah.
That's why I brought that up. And he's a good friend and just a wonderful pastor, wonderful man, and his wife. So we're really happy with that good news. Got to throw that in.
Yeah. Roland, on our agenda tonight to talk to Kaiser about is also an event that's near and dear to your and my heart. These scholarships for Latino students from McNary High School, funding for them going on to their college pathway. And it's such a lovely event with families, and our mayor's usually there, and our civic leaders, and Eric Jesperson, principal of McNary High. It's just a tremendous night. And there's an announcement about that event for this year. And what can you tell us about it?
Well, we work hard. It's kind of like our main event that we do for the year. And that's one of the things that we do reach out. And when I say we, I'm talking about LAC, Latino Action Committee. And we're, like I describe folks as a small group with a big heart. And what we do is raise money. And this year we're set to give 20 scholarships. They're not huge. They're $300 scholarships, but they are given to students, Latino students that have conquered all those barriers and made it to the finish line as far as graduation. I personally have mentored a lot of these guys since like in third grade, some of them. Yeah. And it's beautiful to watch them finally get there and cross the line. And I want to shout out to not only Mr. Principal Jesperson, but also Miguel Camarena, who, boy, if that's not Educator of the Year, he's amazing. Yeah. Helping putting this together. And this year we're not going to have our event, but we are still going to award the scholarships, and we've got 19 in already so far. So I think we're going to do. And we also give a special one in honor of my brother who passed away, who's a very well-known activist in Ohio. But it's kind of nice to be able to give those so the young folks. We have an emphasis on having them come back and help our community, help others, and. As you know, we had one of our prize students a few years ago. She got a full ride to Stanford.
Wow.
She has come back and actually helped with other students here at McNary.
That's awesome.
Amazing. So that's good work. And by the way, you have been part of it too, Dave. Thank you very much. I want to also shout out to our mayor and our council because they have been very supportive of this event. It has been part of our outreach to the Latino community and to show that we do care. And they're part of our community, and they have been very supportive. All our counselors attend. I think everyone except one made it last year. And like I said, you are part of it yourself. Thank you very much.
Yeah. And it's also funding for that comes from our community. And we have some benefactors, people who quietly go about their lives and know that these futures are very important. And so these are not public recognitions many times. These are behind the scenes, but they're a manifestation of the caring people of the Kaiser community and regional community that knows doors opening up for these kids is so important. They're all our kids.
We're blessed because our community has been very supportive. In fact, we have anonymous donors in our community that have helped us keep this thing and fund it, and they don't want us to mention their names, although there are businesses and individuals in our community that are gladly When we first started this thing, all five of us in the group, we all put in $100, and that's how we did our first program.
Wow.
And we went around the communities, and it's not now to where folks actually approach me during the year and they say, "Hey, Roland, when can I write a check for your event?" And it's just amazing the support we've gotten over the years. And a special shout out to people like Betty Hart and Salem. PGE,
Yeah.
Other outfits that have been businesses that have helped us, and they're always eager to help.
Yeah.
So we're very fortunate.
And so, Roland, what is the announcement? Those scholarships are still going to go out. We just can't have a gathering where there's 100 of us at the community center. So those scholarships are still going to go out. It's just going to be done with social distancing criteria, right?
Exactly. Physical distancing. We're going to be doing it. We're going to be awarding, still going to award it. We're not going to have the physical event as far as being there physically, but we are still going to, we've gathered, like I said, 19 of our honorees that are going to be awarded. And by the time we get, I think by now we probably have them all.
Yeah.
So we'll be awarding those and mailing them out and making announcements just like we're doing right here.
Yeah.
So that's the good news. Everything else in my world, as far as meetings, I don't think I've ever gone this long without a meeting or an event or even traveling. This time we like to travel, but I'm really glad that we will still be able to give those awards to those kids who richly deserve it.
Yeah. And so, Roland, you also want to mention something about supporting our businesses. Why is it so important now more than ever when you're going to order a meal, any service, insurance needs, life goes on for all of us, to think of those borders of Kaiser and keep our money in our town? Why is it more important to support our Kaiser businesses right now?
It's funny because we used to go out, they're the ones that support our Little League programs. I mean, the big companies, our local businesses support our Little League programs, our sports programs, our events. And we have to remember that they're the ones that kept us going on a lot of our events, whether it's McNary, Little League, whatever. And I really am glad that folks are actually ordering out and supporting those businesses, because remember that those little businesses that support us, all our activities, our kids' activities.
Yeah.
I had 4 kids go through the sports programs here, and I always remember one particular gentleman by the name of Hank Carter. He told me, "Don't forget, when you're gone, then it's somebody else's turn." And every time somebody comes to my door, a young man or person, I remember what he told me, because it's our turn to help them out.
Yeah.
That's how Kaiser rolls.
Yeah. And we do have great volunteers doing amazing things behind the scenes, and organizations. I just learned today our Kaiser Foundation with the Chamber Foundation donated $1,000 to our food bank because they are tight on food. So, Roland, what do you want to say to these great volunteers and organizations that behind the scenes are looking out for making everything go forward?
I can't say enough for our volunteerism here at Kaiser. I mean, our guys come out of the woodwork to help, especially now. I've seen people reach out and donate more and help out other folks more and be kinder. Like I tell folks, this is the time to be kind. And
yeah.
While I'm saying that, I want to remind folks to, when you're out there, and they're out of toilet paper or whatever, please be kind to the clerks and the folks out there, because it's not their fault. They're doing their job and they're trying to help us. Everybody talks about the medical workers and all the first responders and the folks that are heroes.
Yeah.
But I think we have to consider all those folks, and especially right now, it's a good time to practice our kindness.
Yeah.
Kaiser is full of volunteers with a lot of kindness out there right now.
And I do want to mention, as we wrap up this interview with you, Roland, we're going to do a second interview in Spanish. We have a big Latino audience in Kaiser and Mid-Willamette Valley that have a connection to Kaiser. And so if any of you know Spanish, but if you want to hear some Spanish, please tune into our next show here, because it's just wonderful to connect people in their native tongue. And so we appreciate your heritage in Oregon. Roland, your family was one of a handful that came to Woodburn a long, long time ago. And, this community has made a big impact on you and your family, being the people that you are. And so in wrapping up, let's talk about where folks can hear about topics that we're going to be facing as a city. We've got charter discussions. That there could be a ballot measure this fall about our city charter for the city of Kaiser. So we're wanting citizens to stay tuned on what information they should look at. We have budgets to discuss. You mentioned that on the LOC call today, that our state actually has to make some modifications because of this holding process. We can't even convene the way we used to with some of these procedures. And all of you city councilors were asked to call your state reps to the legislature can make all this happen. We're really a connected community that folks are living their life here in Kaiser, but there's a lot of infrastructure you as a civic leader are doing so that we can function, because it's really at a different time right now.
Yeah, it's a really trying time, and we gotta really hang in there together. I mean, when I mention all the folks, I want to shout out to our public works. I have my former public works guy. They're the guys that really do the work out there.
Yeah.
They're working all long shifts, and at the local level, they've done a lot of great stuff. They never, I don't think they get the recognition they deserve. They're kind of under the radar, but
yeah.
I shout out to Juan and Al and all those guys out there.
Yeah.
Those guys are out there doing our job, and city functions because of them.
Well, and echo that to our Kaiser fire crews, to our police crews. If you see any of them, honk your horn, wave at them as they're driving through the town. Our public works folks, they would love to know you're behind them. And we know this is a tight-knit community, but do all you can to make these guys, they're under frontline stress like our healthcare workers at Salem Health. There's a new level of concern of all of our front-end public works and first responders are dealing with right now, of what this virus is doing to their job description that didn't have that when they signed up to be a first responder. So we want them all to know that they're in our minds and hearts here in Kaiser.
Yes, and I think this is the time, like I said, really, I'm kind of a philosophical guy. Ralph Waldo Emerson said something that always resonates with me, and I keep saying it. And what he said was, and you probably heard it, it's one of my favorite sayings. He says, what lies behind us and what lies before us are simple matters. They don't matter compared to what lies within us.
Yeah.
And that's what we got to pull out. We're going to be fine in Kaiser. I think that as time goes by, we'll be able to function. We're going to go back to normal again.
Yeah.
And hopefully just hang in there and stick together. If anybody has any questions in regards to city events or anything like that, feel free to contact me. My number's on the you'll probably be able to find it on City Kaiser, believe me. And again, thanks a lot for everything you gave. This connecting has been great. It's been a new experience for me, and I've listened to all of the other counselors and did a wonderful job putting the message out there. And the last thing is, while you're home, please do the census. Please participate. It doesn't take long. I mean, even I figured out within seconds I did it. It didn't take me more than 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So participate, because we're in play. Oregon is in play for another, this, like Marlene said so well, Councilor Parsons said so well, the funds, federal and local, will help our community, and not only our schools, our programs, lunch programs, many programs. So the census is very important. I have to stress that. Slip that in.
Yeah, Roland, we've had a comment from Tanya Hamilton, said Kennedy rocks.
Kennedy does rock.
Yes.
By the way, Tanya Hamilton is one of our volunteers.
Nice.
And I think that, like you said, Kaiser volunteerism. I call it Kaiserism, and I've always said it. I've used the term Kaiserism because I just think it's so unique and so special.
Yeah.
A person that likes to travel, we are fortunate.
Yeah.
We have a really great town here in Kaiser.
We really do. So give our best to your wife, Roland. We don't always get to talk to siblings, and just let them know we're thinking about families, and thank you for what you do. We'll bring you back here on these connective interviews on different topics that we want to hear your take on, topics about Kaiser, and we need people's input, and we're just going to connect like we do at the community center on getting information and moving forward. But we appreciate what you do.
Thank you very much, and just last thing for the folks at Kaiser, hang in there. We're all in this together, and we're gonna be just fine. And God bless all of you.
All right, thanks, Roland. Good night.